Studio, sponsored by NTT Data. We are live here at SAP TechEd and Decode, and delighted to have Greg Smith in here from Hitachi Data Systems.
Thanks,
Greg,
Tom. Thanks for having me.
thanks for coming by. We got your booth right over there, an
I know,
awesome
perfect.
booth, and we're right here on the show floor. Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic, virtualization, easy for me to say, and SAP HANA. What's next? So, Greg, let's talk about what you see as the demand for virtualization capabilities when it comes to HANA today. What are you guys seeing?
Well, most customers are running their classic SAP environments, their ECCs, using virtualization today. So they have a lot of operational and provisioning and tool sets, and it's part of their ITIL structure. And so, as HANA's been introduced into the market, it's been introduced through an appliance format, and it's been a little bit separate. And now those restrictions being released, right? We've seen the VMware announcement last May about production for 1 terabyte virtualized VMs and so forth. And so now we're at the sort of cusp of where customers are going to want to start integrating the HANA deployment, in their normal virtualization ecosystem, and not treat it quite so separately.
Right.
So that's really the demand, is sort of to get back to normal in a way, so that they're deploying and treating their HANA like they're doing the rest of their IT infrastructure from an operations standpoint.
And that demand has been there for a while, right? I remember when the VMware news broke, it was people are rejoicing, like, some CIOs I talked to were like, this just changes everything.
Exactly.
Has that interest, the wave kind of gone? Is there even more interest, do you think?
No, well, I think the interest is there. Is like, how do you, there's always sort of performance considerations. There's management considerations, and so people are trying to step through going from, let's say, specialized HANA deployment environment to it being part of their standard IT ecosystem deployment in a way that makes sense. And so that's going to involve some changes, right? So they're not going to want to change a lot very rapidly.
Right.
But they are stepping through that, and right now we have a 1 terabyte VM limit. 1 VM per environment right now as we sit today. And so people are sort of already up to that point. They're like, yeah, let's go. Now we want to go more, and we want to do multi-tenancy, so we want to have multiple VMs. We want to start running production, non-production. You get into DR and a lot of other aspects where people are leveraging VMs for operational issues, backup, all of that. So there's still a lot of work to be done, I would say, in transforming from how they initially deployed to something that looks a lot more like their standard management infrastructure today.
So if we were to equate this to a 9-inning baseball game, where are we right now with both the products that are out there and then the customer appetite for this?
I'll say inning 3.
Inning 3, okay.
I think we're early. I mean, if you look at the announcement today that Bjorn made and the SPS 9 capabilities around multi-tenancy, then that's going to add some additional capabilities within this mixture of how to run SAP and all the supporting apps in a virtualized environment. And so those capabilities are going to be integrated in as well, and those are going to bring some additional value to the environment, which weren't on the table before, right? So those have to be taken into account.
Is there a typical company that you're seeing wanting more of this? Is it big companies? Is it mid-size or small even? I mean, is there a typical, can you generalize?
Yeah, it's the usual split. So very large companies have scale, and they tend to they can reap the most benefit out of that. However, their environments are very large, and they tend not to move as quickly, right? So you have that side, and then if you go down to the smaller end of the scale, you have people that are much more agile and are much more willing to rapidly adopt. However, the scale, they may not reap the benefit of scale because they're dealing with a little bit smaller deployments. But I would say probably more the smaller end, because they want to do that now. And then at the larger end, they know they want to do it because they've been doing that in the long term over all of their IT environments, and they want to do it here as well. But that's going to be a longer, project-driven approach than maybe the more rapid deployment.
Right, that's good to know. So for our customers who are watching, ASUG members, there was some news today. Bjorn kicked it off. There was some news yesterday. What's the one piece of news that you would, if a customer came up to you and said, hey, you were here, what's the one thing I need to take away from this week?
Well, I think the two important things out of talk from my standpoint would be, I think the SPS 9 announcement's interesting. There's a lot of new capabilities in there, and we got a very high-level view of that. But there's a lot of interesting detail in there about tiering and multi-tenancies I just spoke about. So I think that's very, very interesting. I think the drive around platform as a service and HANA, a cloud platform, from a application development standpoint is very interesting. It's going to be a little bit of a longer haul, right?
Yep.
Trying to drive,
Sure.
how are you going to do application extension out into the cloud, and all of that. And so that's something that I think is where we're all headed, and we're a little bit earlier on that journey probably, and how to sort out, what's on-prem, what's going to run in the cloud, how that whole, ecosystems of applications are going to run. I think that's interesting, and there's a lot more push behind that. So, I think it's something that, from a Hitachi standpoint, or what we do around data innovation and cloud and Hitachi cloud platform environments, and what we're doing for the SAP space, it aligns very nicely with us.
Yep.
So we're actually pretty happy with that. And get into the Internet of Things space and the big data space, it's we think it's a great direction to be going.
Well, there's a lot of exciting things happening for sure. Stop by the booth over there. We'll encourage people to do that.
Stop by the booth at Hitachi and go out on our web pages, look at our social media and HDS, and you get lots of information, so I encourage people to come by and see all the great stuff that we're doing at Hitachi.
Great. Well, Greg, thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it.
All right, Tom,
Pleasure
appreciate
to
it. Thanks
talk
for
to
your time.
you.
Have a great conference.
For more SAP customer stories, interview with ASUG partners, please check out asugnews.com.